Hi people, hope you're doing good. So today we're going to take a look at Journey. Now this is a track I've received so many messages, I'm really grateful, lots and lots of really positive messages coming through about the track, and it's amazing actually because it's still in the track source charts, and this thing's been in that chart for a long period of time, so there's a certain amount of longevity. I'm very grateful for everybody who's been supporting the release, but everyone's asking how did I put it together. So this was using Cubase, and it was great to come back to this, and I'm going to take you through a deconstruction of the track. We're going to take a look at the elements used to create this. It's a kind of like a spiritual, emotional kind of journey, and yeah, that's where the name came from. So let's take it from here. One of the key elements is the string chords. Okay, definitely reminiscent of Pepe Braddock Deep Burnt, but that string sample was taken from it was Little Sunflower at the Freddie Hubbard version that had Al Jarreau on it, and it had this intro, these strings, and so that's always been an inspiring thing for me, always they're echoing in some of my productions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these strings, going to solo these, and you're probably wondering which instrument I used. This is, let's take a look, this is Native Instruments Contact, which is my favorite sampler. And these strings here, it's a library called Session Strings 2. There's something really rich and warm about these strings. When that filter opens up, there's all kinds of texture coming through, especially in the low notes as well. So let's take a look at those notes. This is the programming, here we go. So these are the chords that I played in. And I'm going to expose the automation so we can see this. You can see here the filter frequency is gradually evolving. The filter is coming from Soundtoys Filter Freak, which is one of my favorite analog style filters. And you can see if I go back, the low pass filter, the frequency is being modulated. So we're going from the warm tone to the bright tone. The resonance is a very small amount, and I haven't got a particularly strong filter. This is a 4-pole filter, and if you think about poles, the higher the number, the steeper the slope, and that's the slope here. So it's almost like a strength of a filter. Okay, so that's the most important aspect of the track, and you can see that over the whole duration pretty much. The filter modulation is allowing the timbre change across the duration, so it doesn't become boring. Well, you could argue that it's boring, but most people don't think it is. Anyway, here we go. I want to come back to the very beginning because when we have the strings and also this pad, and I'll tell you what this pad is. So we jump forward, it's on the next section. So listen to the combination of the warm strings and the pad. So that comes slightly later, it evolves, it becomes bright when the other one is warm. It's almost kind of Blade Runner-esque. And this is a lovely, lovely string patch. I'll open this up so you can see it. This is from Steinberg Pad Shop 2, which is a fantastic plugin for pads, and it's a granular engine. So it takes a sample and manipulates it, and that's a patch called Analog Emotion. So that's really, really lovely sound. I'll take you through the other musical elements. So we've got a bass line. If you've seen some of my other deconstruction videos, you will have seen me use this Native Instruments Reactor Ensemble before. This is the TRK-01 that's being used for bass. And I'll show you how that's been played in. So it's a really interesting kind of almost syncopated rhythm on there. And there are some other musical elements that come in. We'll take a look at those soon. And just a note, in Cubase you've got the ability to do folder tracks, and so I've got all of my musical elements nicely organized in there. I don't always organize things as well as this. All depends. So we've got a new sound coming in, this Brazil whistle. And this really is a very important part of the track also. And this is a Steinberg instrument in the World Instruments collection called Brazil Whistle. And that's partnered by this. It's almost like a call and response. So this other sound, Brazil pluck, another Steinberg Hadeon instrument. This is World Instruments again, Domra 2 mute. Then high strings coming to create some tension. So let's take a look at the notes. And the pattern on the Brazil pluck almost echoes the bass line. The instrument I used for the string was a cool Triton. And the patch was the Arco strings there. So I think that's pretty much it with the musical elements. Let's just come back. Let me take you back to the beginning, drums. So the kick drum is in fact a Cubase sampler track, and I'm just going to bring this up so we could see it. So there we go, it's just a simple kick drum sample being triggered. But you've got this kind of double kick every now and again, you see this? So that adds a nice little kind of syncopated vibe to it. The congas, I'll tell you a story about these. There's two sets. So one of these is a sampled loop, which is sliced and quantized. I'll show you that. And then the other is percussion coming from Logic Pro 10. And what I just wanted to do was to add another extra dimension of percussion. So I took the track in Cubase, I rendered it out, bounced it out as audio, brought that entirely into Logic. Then I used one of the Logic drummers, and there's a virtual drumming plugin there, and they have percussion players as well. So I got one of those kind of virtual percussion players to play over this. So there are some slight variations over time in that. It was bounced out to audio and then brought into this Cubase project. So that's that. So once again, let me just solo the drums. We've also got a rim shot coming in. So that's here. Where's that coming from? It's a Groove Agent kit, which is a Steinberg kind of drum module. And then also there is this percussion. It's got a kind of tone to it. Where are we? Let me find that. It's here, belts. And this is a Hadeon Sonic percussion instrument in the World Percussion collection. And it's called Toke Set. I really like what that brings to it. If I take that away, it's like it kind of loses something. So really, I like what it brings. It adds this kind of percussive kind of toned ring. It's almost like a tension with the fact that the bells have got a tone. Because before it felt a little bit too kind of too straight down the line music. And some people might in fact prefer it without those bells, but I prefer them in. Occasionally there is a vibra slap, and this is to replace a crash. And that's preceded by a timbale fill, so I'm just going to isolate some of these. Let me take away the bells. There we go. So it's kind of like an organic, kind of human way to introduce the next section. So the other thing to highlight is there's quite a few of these atmospherics occurring at different points in the track. Let me take you to some of these. I've got a couple of main elements. There are these kind of bell-like tinkle sounds, which are here. And then also I've got a rain stick, which is an actual genuine piece of percussion, which is designed to create rain-like sound. It's a tube with rice inside that can be rolled. If you've never seen one before, you need to track them down. They're good fun. So that's creating a kind of authentic, atmospheric texture. So really, you know, the track is a gradually evolving and changing version of the same thing. There's not much variation musically, no key changes or anything like that. It's the same thing over and over again, but with the subtle changes and some of the elements being taken away, the filter modulation on the strings, that's what creates the variety and makes it listenable. So why don't we take a look at the mix. Cubase Mixer, by the way, is really nice. one of the things I like about it is it's got a great overview of everything. So we've got all the meters along the top, the EQ settings here, the inserts. So it feels like an old school mixing desk to me. But what I want to do is let's take a look at the master settings, because this is something that I mastered myself. At the top we've got the BX console, so that's giving it the SSL G series kind of vibe. The GEQ10, I've got no idea why I put it here. Maybe for gain staging to use the output. Strange choice, but I did this a while ago. Some bus compression using the SSL. And also some kind of gelling as well using this Drama S73, which I really like. And that's just got a couple of dBs gain reduction. That's kind of like a multi-band compressor. Then it's running through soft tube tape. This is using type B. I've got noise on deliberately to create some extra texture and some very slight speed instability, which creates a kind of subtle pitch variation, which I really like. The high frequencies are being exaggerated slightly using the Slate Digital Fresh Air plugin. So just a small amount here. I really love the sound of that to bring out the highs. Supervision is a new monitoring plugin inside the latest version of Cubase. So I had this here, and it's actually quite funny because really that should be placed after the last limiting stage here. So I don't know why I placed it there. Another mystery, but anyway, that's what happens when you're making music. Sometimes you do things and you don't know why you did them when you go and reflect back on it. Obviously you did at the time, but my memory is terrible these days. So finally, the last stage is this Slate digital limiter, and these days I'm using something different, which we'll come to on another video for sure. But at the time, this was absolutely perfect. And of course, it's been played by lots of DJs and everybody's been complimentary about the sound. So it's still a great mastering limiter. So anyway, that's it. That's Journey. And it's still available, of course, on Just Underground Recordings. It's still in the Traxsource Afro-Latin Brazilian chart, which I'm very grateful for. It's really fantastic that it's had such longevity. And yeah, that's it. So as you guys probably know from watching videos on my channel, I don't have tons of time, but if you do have any questions related to this, please put them down and I will see if I can get back. Quite often I can do stuff on the mobile and get back to people. But anyway, that's it. Take care. Look after yourselves.